Good day, everybody. Welcome to our webinar here. My name is Andrew Sims, and I'm coming to you live from Suite headquarters all the way down in Wellington, New Zealand. So it's evening time here, but I believe it's early morning there in the UK. And yeah, I'd really like to welcome you along to today's webinar. First of all, a little bit of an introduction. So, as I mentioned, my name is Andrew Sims. I'm the CEO and one of the founders here at SuiteFiles. Today, we're going to do a webinar introducing you to SuiteFiles, an online file management solution. And what I'll do is I'll set the scene with a few slides to start with, and then we'll take you through an online demo with our demo sites, and then we'll have time at the end of the session to answer any questions that you might have. Now, first of all, a little bit of housekeeping. So I am recording today's webinar. Watch out for a copy in your inbox, as it says there. Everyone who has registered for the webinar will receive a copy of the recording. It will be done and ready to go sometime tomorrow morning New Zealand time. So look out for that as it comes in overnight tonight for you guys. If you have any questions, the Zoom system that we're using today for the webinar has the ability to handle those questions, so please type them in to the Q&A section. I will answer the questions at the end of the webinar, but I always say to people, please make sure you type them in, the question in as it comes to mind, simply because we want to make sure it's captured and you don't forget about it before the end of the session today. And then I guess just to make the experience optimal, if you've got any unnecessary windows or applications open that might be eating up bandwidth that might interfere with the webinar, please feel free to close those, and that way you can get the best webinar experience possible. Okay, today's agenda, reasonably simple agenda. We're going to spend probably 45 to 50 minutes just going through a few things about SuiteFiles, and as I say, we'll then have time at the end for questions. So first of all, a bit of an introduction to who we are as a business and what we do, how SuiteFiles works to help your business. So really that's the demo, showing you what we can do with SuiteFiles, and in particular how it applies to a lot of our accounting businesses who are clients out there. We're going to have a chat about migration as well. So people often ask me when they want to get set up with SuiteFiles, well, how do I move all my files from whatever previous file system they've been using into the SuiteFiles solution? And we'll have a slide or two about that, just so that we can cover those bases for you. Okay, a bit of an intro to our business, just to let you know a little bit about us. So, as I mentioned, I'm coming to you live from Wellington in New Zealand. We're based down here. On early next week, I'll have my 12th staff member join the team. So we've been growing. We're only about 5 or 6 months ago, growing quickly, and we've been in operation for just over 7 years now. The SuiteFiles application itself is just over just about 6.5 years old. So it took us half a year or so to get the app up and running after we started the business. As I say, we're relatively young. We're just over 7 years old, and we're what you'd call a born in the cloud business. So what that means is everything that we do is cloud-based, and we want to, we took, I guess, a stand to ensure that we lived that dream, if you want to call it a dream, or drank our own Kool-Aid as we make sure that everyone will help people get to the cloud-based world. And so, yeah, everything we do is built in the cloud. We're built on Microsoft's platform, in particular the Office 365 and the Azure platforms, and we've done a bunch of things with Microsoft over the years, been a Microsoft partner since the day we started, and won some awards and been finalists in other awards for work that we've done with Microsoft Cloud over the last 7 years. We're what we call a modern practice advocate. So just over 7 years ago, actually, Xero started an initiative down in New Zealand that they called the Modern Practice, and that was an initiative where they were really encouraging accounting firms to take the big step and turn their server off and move all the workloads on that server into the cloud. We were involved at that point in time as the preferred supplier for document management, and Xero picked us, and we built our solution so that accountants could use it. It's quite interesting to understand is that we're built our application specifically for the small to medium business. So that's what does that mean? Well, what it means is that we didn't build a consumer application, so something that you might use at home, say for example like Dropbox, and then scale that up to try and gain greater revenue by actually allowing or building a product that is suitable for businesses. And so trying to build on top of a consumer product to make it a business-based product. We didn't do that. We built SuiteFiles specifically for that small to medium business market, and we don't have any consumer customers at all. Also, what it means is that we didn't build SuiteFiles for the enterprise, so for those larger organizations, and then try to scale it back down so that it would fit into smaller businesses. And obviously, I think people have probably seen those applications over the years where a big behemoth of a system, the vendors try to cut it back and make it appropriate to a small to medium business. And again, it still just doesn't quite work properly. And then we have our whole accounting integration or specialization is probably a better way to describe it. So SuiteFiles, we have 70% of our customers are accounting practices around the world. 65% of those practices would be in Australia. About 24% are in New Zealand, and then the rest are scattered around the UK, Canada, South Africa, the Caribbean, and the US. Our integration for accountants is really built around our integration with Xero, and in particular the Xero Practice Manager, and that's really going to be quite a focus of the demo today. So the problem, why do we exist? Why should you care about us? Well, I guess the big thing, I'll put these words up here, but what we're really trying to help you do is shut that server down so that you can move all of the workloads off it to the cloud. And when we first started working and selling SuiteFiles, the conversation really was from IT companies and customers to us directly saying, we have moved everything to the cloud off our server except for our files and our documents, and we really don't know what to do with those documents. Where should we put them? What's the best system? Yeah. There were certain options out there, the Dropboxes, the Google Drives, the Box.coms, and again, they were really designed originally as consumer products, and so people were finding that there were issues as the businesses scaled with using those platforms. SuiteFiles then came into play at that point in time. Okay, this is the see for yourself. So this is the slide where I now switch over to the SuiteFiles systems, my demo site, and start to show you through SuiteFiles and how it works. Now, SuiteFiles is built. We've got a number of different applications that you can use. So we've got our browser app, and that's what I'll work in predominantly for the next few minutes. We also have an email add-in so that you can very easily get information in and out of your inbox. And we also actually have a Drive app as well, which I'll probably touch on very briefly at the end of the session today. With all these apps, you can access all of your files. Now, SuiteFiles is designed to be very simple to use, and in doing that, we really stuck with concepts of computing that everyone is used to. The first thing is that everyone is used to folders and files. In fact, when personal computers first came out 40, 50 years ago, it was about folders and files. So we've stuck with that paradigm. So on the home screen here, I have a bunch of folders, I should say, listed over on the left-hand side of the screen. And I can click into a folder and I can see my subfolders. So as an accounting practice, you're probably most interested in this clients folder, although you can actually keep any file you like inside of SuiteFiles. It's not just about a client database. And as we drill into these folders, you can see we've got further subfolders and files sitting in those folders. So that's all pretty straightforward, really. What happens when we do run a migration is that we actually pick up a folder structure that you'd have on your server and copy it directly into SuiteFiles itself. That means that that folder structure is replicated, and so that when your users come in and start using SuiteFiles after having done a migration, that folder structure is the same and they're familiar with how to navigate their way around the system. Of course, navigation isn't the only way to get around. You can do things like use search. Our search is exceptionally powerful. The search text box at the top of the screen here. Let's just type the word test. This is what I always do my search on. What happens, there's two different sort of result sets that come back. First, if you just type into the text box there and then just let this drop down populate, what you get are all of your client folders that have the words or the criteria in the text box in their name. So I've got I don't know, a dozen or 13 or so client folders here that have the word test in their name. And then I've got a bunch of files, and when it comes to files, you'll only see a maximum of 7 in this view. And then other folders that are not client folders, and that they'll come back in here as well. And again, you get a maximum of 7 of these other folders. Now, we only get 7 files and 7 subfolders because this is what we call our quick search, and we're trying to get you the most relevant results as quickly as possible. It is quite probable that you might have more than 7 files that have the word test associated to them in one way, shape, or form in your file system. It's quite probable that maybe that file that you're after is not listed in the first 7 here. So all you need to do is come back into the text box and hit the enter key. That is then going to show me every file in the file system that has the word test associated to it. As you can see, we got 336 results, and that came back pretty quickly. Now, if we go from 336 results, or from 7 results, I should say, to 336, it's kind of from one extreme to the other. One being I've only got 7 results and I can't see what I need because it's not listed. The other being now I've got 336 results and I can't see what I need because there are too many files in the list. So we can use the file metadata and start to refine our results. And these metadata categories are listed over on the left-hand side here with these refiners. So it could be that you're actually after PDF files, for example. So we can filter and show all the PDF files that have met the criteria and come back in our search results. Could also be that maybe you're after files for a specific client, and so you can see here we've got client folders listed, and if we go to that 1,600 candles, you can see there's the one file in the system that we're looking for. Could also be that you want to refine based on financial year, maybe who last modified the document, or when the document was actually last modified or last edited. So you can see, as I say, search is exceptionally powerful. You can find results very quickly and drill into the document set to find exactly what you're looking for. Now, there are a whole bunch of other features in the web app, but I'm not going to go through them all just now. What I am going to do is I'm going to flip over and show you our integration with the Xero Practice Manager to make sure we've got time to see the really interesting stuff from an accountant's perspective. So I've already logged into the Xero Practice Manager. Here it is here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up a client. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll create a new client, and we'll just work through a small process. So let's create this new client here, and let's call this client something like this, Accountex Service Stations Limited. And let's save this client. So what happens now with our integration with the Xero Practice Manager is the Practice Manager is going to look inside SuiteFiles, and it's going to look inside the client folders, and it's going to see if it can find a folder with the name that we've just given this client in the Xero Practice Manager. So what it's doing is it's looking in SuiteFiles, and it's looking in here in the clients folder. And because this pop-up screen came up, it means that the folder, there is no folder with this name. And it's asking us, would we like to create that folder in SuiteFiles? And if we do want to create the folder, we can use what we call a folder template. So this is a standard set of subfolders that we're going to create under the new folder that we're just setting up. So I'm going to choose my company folders template for new clients, and I'm going to choose to create this, this client folder called Accountex Service Stations Limited. When that's done, as you can see here, a link gets inserted into the Practice Manager, and this is a link to my client folder in SuiteFiles. And there it is there. So I'm in the Accountex Service Stations Limited folder, and I've got a series of subfolders set up as a part of my folder template. And in fact, you can take your subfolders down to multiple levels. As you can see here, there's another level of subfolders under this financial year folder. That makes life really easy. Set your client up and have the client folders and everything all set up in SuiteFiles ready to go. And then we put a link in the Practice Manager so you can go straight to that client folder very quickly and easily. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the document, with the Practice Manager, you'll see there's this Documents tab here. So that's also hooked up to SuiteFiles. And what that does is it shows us, again, the link, but also all of the content that is associated to this particular client that is currently stored in SuiteFiles. So right now, what you can see is we've got these the subfolders that we set up as a part of that folder template. I haven't got any files at this stage, but if I come into here and let's find some files to upload. I can just drag and drop a file onto SuiteFiles here. That's going to upload it into the system, and then we can go back into the Practice Manager and just refresh, and you'll see there's the file. So this is a view directly into SuiteFiles, showing you all the folders and all the files for that client. What it really means is that you don't actually have to go back into SuiteFiles if you don't want to see your client documents. And you can click on a file in here and open it directly into SuiteFiles and start working on that document. So that's a really neat little way of being able to access your information from another location, essentially. Now, in terms of further things about what we do with our integration with the Practice Manager, if I were to change the name of this client in the Practice Manager, I'll get a prompt like I did when I was creating the new client. I'll get a prompt from SuiteFiles asking me, do I wish to change the client folder name in SuiteFiles? If I ask at the Practice Manager to archive this client, I'll also get another prompt asking me, would I like to archive the client folder in SuiteFiles? So we're working hard to try and keep the two systems essentially synchronized. Another thing which is really neat, I think, that we can do with our integration is we can start to use all the information that we've got on this page here and use it to populate documents and to get in touch with our contacts. So what I need to do, if you just bear with me, is I'm going to open this up in edit mode, and I always like doing this because it's live. This is a real site. There's no smoke and mirrors going on here, and I can set up this client with a whole bunch of information, and then I can pull that information back into SuiteFiles. So let's do this. I'm filling in just the normal standard fields that you'd have in the Practice Manager. You'll have something specific, I think, to the UK with these fields here, probably say VAT as opposed to GST. And then what I've got in my Xero Practice Manager is a couple of sections of custom fields that we've set up. So these are fields that are specific, I guess, to my business and how it runs, and I can fill in these fields and collect information about my clients because I deem it that the information is relevant to whatever I'm doing. So let's just put a few more bits of information in here. There's that, so I'm just going to put that info in for this additional client details fields, and then for services required, this is just basically checkboxes letting me know which services my customer actually wants. And then I click Save. So that's really just save that information into the practice manager. What I also would like to do is I'm just going to add a contact in here because I want, you'll see why I want this contact shortly. So this contact is going to be called Darius Boyd. There we go. And let's put the actual salutation in here. Now I want to add an email address and a phone number, and I'll show you why I want to do that shortly. I am going to use my my email address and phone number simply because I'll need those as a part of the demo, and I'll show you how things are working. Got my phone number right, and then the email account for my demo, Office 365 and SuiteFiles. Okay, we'll click save. Now I'm all set up, ready to go. So why did I go through all that? I wanted to go through all that so that I could show you how our templates work. So if we go back into SuiteFiles and we come under the More section here, we can look at managing templates. So I have a template in here, this Abacus Accounting XPM demo letter. And let me show you that. This is the one I use for all my demos. So in this template, we've got these merge fields. So this is the information that we're pulling back out of the Xero Practice Manager to put into SuiteFiles and into the documents that we're creating. Some of these merge fields are pretty simple. You know, the business name, that's the business name. It's pretty straightforward. These address details, there is a small amount of logic in behind them. So what we're doing here is we're first of all looking for the postal address, and if that doesn't exist, we're going to use the physical address. We've got other fields in here. Now we got some date fields. There's the primary contact salutation, which I set up for Darius Boyd. In here, I'm using the custom fields that I've set up in the Xero Practice Manager. So you'll see all those in here. Now this line item here in these bullet points is actually referring to these values that we've got down here. So these yes, no values. In the case of the one that I've highlighted, it's looking for the receive newsletter field, and it's got a value of no. So we're just making a statement here, which is going to say you do not wish to receive our monthly newsletter, and that's because this bit of syntax in my merge field here is looking for the value no as opposed to the value yes. If the value was yes, then simply everything in here would just be omitted from that line. You can see other checkboxes of information all set up to go in here, and other things that we've got around this conditional logic. There's another if not statement, so it's looking for a no value for whether the customer is GST registered. And also what you can see sorry, I think I muted myself a bit there, so we'll just have to go back a bit. I was showing this template. This one here, and showing these custom fields on it, and talking about the business values here. So these are values that I can set up in my own organization within SuiteFiles, and that I can reuse. So what I've done here is I've set up our address details. We actually recently moved office, so the useful thing about this is rather than updating every template individually, I can update these business values, and all my templates from that time on will have the new details inside them. Okay, let's go back to our client folder, and let's have a look at creating a new document from that actual template. So let's go File from Template. And you can see all of our templates listed here, and there is my template that I've just been having to play with. And what we've got here now is this, you can see the name of, we want to give the file a name, and also we get to choose a client. Now from here, what you can see is if I start typing, I'll get all my clients listed from the Xero Practice Manager. Now, generally, by now, the client case should have updated. It hasn't, unfortunately, but all I need to do is click this refresh option. And what that's going to do is it's going to update the client list that we've got in the Xero Practice Manager here in SuiteFiles. And if I start typing Accountex, there you go, you can see them in the system now. So yeah, normally that would just automatically populate for you. So now we have chosen our template. Our file has a name that we're going to use. That name is based on the name of the template, and if there's a client selected, we've got to append the client name to the document, and we've got our client selected here as well. So all we need to do is click Create. So right now, as you can imagine, what we're doing is we're creating a new document based on that template, and we're going to populate that document with information about the client that we've just set up. So here we go here. You can see there's the business name, here's the address details, that's the salutation for the primary contact. We do not wish to receive the monthly newsletter, all the different values for these services required. You can see also information in there about our company's address that we can put into the footer of the email. So that's, you know, it's really straightforward. And if we go back into here, into the Practice Manager, and go back to that Documents screen, you'll see that that new file also has been listed on that screen there. There it is there. Okay, let's go back to that client folder. Okay, let's open the file again. And what I want to do is I want to show you our brand new signature feature. In fact, it's just about to go live. I had hoped it would have been live last week, but I've actually got some guys in here tonight working on it. So hopefully we can push it live in the next few days. But what we can do is from any Word document or PDF, we can set the document up for electronic signing. So if it's a Word document, all we need to do is click the Request Signature button here. And that's going to convert the Word document to a PDF for us and open up the PDF. Then we've got some options up here around document signing. So, and you can see that the document is all set up with a signature block so that I can actually get it signed. So with document signing, we've got some options here. So sign and save, that is all about me just signing a document and saving it into SuiteFiles. Quick sign is what we're going to use. That is allows us to actually get contact details out of the Xero Practice Manager and use those contact details rather than having to enter the person's name and email address and potentially their mobile phone number if you want it. That's what this quick sign function is about, or option is about. This is where you can enter details for any person who is not in your Xero Practice Manager solution. So let's have a look at this quick sign. We'll just accept the conditions there, and we want to choose our contacts. So we can choose Darius. There's Darius there. So just by typing their name, or the other thing you can actually do is actually type the business name, and what you'll find is that all the contacts associated with that business are listed. So I just type Accountex and there's Darius Boyd, just to show you what I mean. I've got another client, 99 Corporation, and you can see there's actually 4 contacts on that that entity inside of the Practice Manager, and they're all being listed here. Of course, I'm not interested in any of them. Let's go for Darius. and let's use their details. And you can see the little blue circle with a tick mark in it. That indicates that we've validated that this is a real contact in our Xero Practice Manager, and we've got details we need, like their email address and also mobile phone number. Okay, so I could set up for multiple recipients of this document. I'm just going to set it up for one, and I'm going to click select. So now what I can do is I can mark the document up where all the signature blocks need to go. First of all, I can put, over on the left here, you can see all the people who can sign the document. So there's me and there's Darius. And I can take my signature and I can put it into here. Let's just move that over a little bit. And then I can choose where I want Darius to sign. So let's say here, and we want to put Darius' full name, say here, and then the date that Darius signed the document there. And of course, I'd like to just align everything and make it look a bit neater. And we're ready to go. We've set this document up for signing. Obviously, I can put things like their initials on the pages if I want to, and I can also put text boxes in if I need them to enter some specific information. At this point, all I would do is hit save and send. So I'm going to get this email now, which I can sort of draft up. Hi Darius, please sign and return this document. Yeah, that's all that's needed. I can obviously type whatever content I want to in that message box. The document will expire after 7 days. And also, if I want to, this is why I put my mobile phone number in, I can validate this email address also by using a text or an SMS verification code, but like a two-factor authentication. So is the person who received the email and clicking the links also the person who has the phone number that I've got for that person as well? So they've got to have an email address and a mobile phone all set up in the system if you want to choose yes here. I'll choose yes to show how it works. And we just go, hit send. That's now obviously processing a few things, and it's going to get the document ready for signing and send out an email to the recipient or the signer so that we can get that underway. Now, while that's happening, because the person who needs to sign the document, that person Darius, I set up with my demo email account. Let's open my demo email, and let's see, we should see that email has come into my inbox. There's some old ones in there. Let's just get rid of those. Here we go. So that new email has just come in, and it's saying, as you can see here, it's asking, it's got that message in it, Darius, please sign and return this document. You'll also see that I can brand up this email with just some standard colors, and also I can put my company logo in there if I want to. Now, Darius, when he receives this email, he'll need to click this button here that says review document. And that's going to open up the document in a web browser and allow me to sign that document. So I just refresh that. There we go. And I hit continue, and I can click scroll to next, which is going to be where am I going to click to sign. So all I need to do is sign this document by clicking into those text boxes, and I'm done, apart from having to click the sign document button. And what that's going to do is trigger the need for me to enter a text verification code. So let's wait for that. There it is now. So 519667, and let's click verify. So that's now verifying that that mobile number is correct, and also the fact that the mobile number and the email address are both associated to the recipient of this document. We go back to Outlook. Let's close this one down. You'll see I've got an email telling me that, first of all, the document has been opened but not signed. So whenever anyone opens a document but doesn't sign it, we'll get this notification. And now you can see I've had another couple of notifications come in as well. This is the one telling me that the document has been signed by Darius Boyd, so that's all good. And also because the document has been completed, because only one person needed to sign it, everyone on the distribution list will get a copy of this downloaded file that they can save. If we come back into SuiteFiles and we come back into the folder here for the client, what you can see is that there's another PDF file in here now. This one has the word signed appended to its name, and this is the file that Darius actually signed, already saved back into my SuiteFiles system, and you can see it's all signed up and ready to go. So that's from a document signing perspective, it's all pretty straightforward and easy. Actually, I should also show you, we've got this document signing management area in here. So this is a list of all of the files that I have sent out for document signing, and I can sort these or filter them. I can look at just the documents that have been completed. So there you go, there's lots of them in there. I can look at the documents that are in progress, and unfortunately I haven't got any. I can look at the documents that have been declined, and again I don't have any, so that's good. Cancelled, so declined would be if the person you're asking to sign the document doesn't want to do that. Cancelled is if I decide that after creating the document I actually need to cancel it, and the person who I've asked to sign it doesn't actually need to sign that version of the document, I would cancel it. Expired, these are files that have been in the system for longer than 7 days but have not yet been signed. They can actually be reinstated. You can extend the expiry date if you want to, but most of the time I'd just find that you are you're letting those expirations go through and then potentially following up with the client themselves. Also down here, this is where we do the custom branding, so you can see the colors and the logo and how everything will look. So that looks pretty much like what we saw in Outlook. Oops. Yep. So that's all that document signing, all of them in there. Okay, enough about document signing. One of the things that we also get asked that what do we do about sharing? Obviously, you can share these documents securely for signing. We have a similar document sharing feature that is secure, which does pretty much the same thing. Essentially, you share a document with the contact out of the Xero Practice Manager, and if they've got a mobile number associated, when they click the link to download that file, they will actually be asked for a text verification code to make sure it's them. Okay, let's go back to this beast here, the SuiteFiles Outlook tool. So over on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see my SuiteFiles Outlook add-in, and this is connected directly to the SuiteFiles site that we have just been looking at. If we navigate around or even search, we'll find there's our new client, and we can click into that client folder, and you can see there are those files and subfolders that we've set up and created. Now, the whole purpose of this add-in is to be able to get information out of your inbox. I'm sure you've all had the situation where someone gets sent an email, it comes into their inbox, it's actually got some really relevant and important information, but that person who's received it for one reason or another has not shared it with everyone, not passed it on. If you're working in that kind of world, you're obviously relying on people to know to send information to you, whatever that information might be. You're also relying on the recipient of that information to find it interesting at the time and relevant to what they're doing. Otherwise, they could often just end up binning it, and that relevant info, say if it's client information, could remain in the original recipient's inbox and get lost in there because no one knows that it's actually turned up and in there to start with. So what we want to be able to do is get information out of your inbox and into SuiteFiles. So here's the document saying that the file had been signed. So what I can do is I can simply drag and drop that file over into SuiteFiles, the one that's called signed. And there you go, you can see it just load into the system there. So if I need to drag and drop an attachment, it's very simple out of the preview panel for Outlook. If I want to save the actual document, the actual email, so all the content of the email plus any attachments that are on it, I can do that also, and that's done just simply by following the same action, dragging and dropping, but this time out of your inbox over to SuiteFiles, to the Outlook add-in, and you can see that email has now been loaded into SuiteFiles just here. Also, you'll see that the email has been tagged with a category, and that category is quite simply just added to SuiteFiles. So yeah, really, really easy to get info from your inbox into your file system. Likewise, it's really, really easy to get it out of your file system and into emails that you might be sending. So if I open up a brand new email and I click attach from SuiteFiles, you'll see that again I can browse around the file system and I can find my files and I can load them into my email that I wish to send. Very straightforward. I can also create an email template. Now, email templates, well, they're just what they sound like. It's something that we can set up. You can draft up an email that you wish to use as template content. You just simply click Save as Email Template, give it a name, and if you want the attachments included in your template, you'd click on that checkbox. Now, I've got a template that I have worked out earlier. That obviously not surprising. I've got one that's already going. And what I want to do is I'll show you how you can, first of all, set up the template. I'll show you the content of the template in the first instance, and then show you how we can use it and pre-populate it with client info from the practice manager. So here we go. We've got our template. We've got merge fields in the subject line. We've got them all through the body of the email. And we've also got this letter in my new email to you. And that has got an attachment. And in the attachment, let's open it up. Where's Word gone? It's happened to my mouse. Here we go. Slight technical issue. Okay, I'm going to have to use the trackpad instead of the mouse there. There we go. There is the attachment in the email, and it's got these merge fields that we have seen through document templates and also in that email template. So let's now close this. And let's create a new email. This time, using our template, we will choose our client from our client list in the Xero Practice Manager. And just simply click pre-populate. And there we go, there's our letter. So, or our email all set up. We've got the subject line being pre-populated. We've got the fields that were in the body of the email being pre-populated, including those, again, those business values. We've got an attachment that has had its name changed. And if we open the attachment, you can see, again, all the fields in here have been updated. So pretty easy to do. You can obviously create an email template exceptionally quickly, and then you can use it, the pre-population, to pull the correct information from the practice manager. What that really does, I didn't highlight this when we're talking about it in the SuiteFiles web app. What it really does is it means that as long as that practice manager is the source of truth for your clients, you don't have to copy and paste anything. You don't have to remember and make mistakes as you're typing. We can pull that information straight through into SuiteFiles. The last little thing with the Outlook add-in is when you're sending emails, you will be asked, would you like to save that email somewhere? So this is a copy of the sent item, and you can rename it if you need to. And the other thing is that you can work your way around the folder structure and find the location that you'd like to save that email into. The system should also remember the last few locations that you saved emails for that email domain into, and then start to suggest those just to try and make life a little bit quicker and easier for you. So that's still sending. It's just about done. There's the document there now sitting inside my SuiteFiles system, and obviously I just sent it to myself. So that's an overview of our email integration. Now, what I'm really going to quickly do now is just show you our Drive app. It's pretty straightforward and simple. Essentially, in the File Explorer, I have my S drive, which is, for all intents and purposes, it operates exactly the same as a mapped network drive through to your SuiteFiles site. And you can see here, there are all my folders that are in SuiteFiles, and you can drill down and you can see all your client folders and everything that is associated to them. So there's my new client, and there are my folders and files, and I can work with my files this way too if I want to. Obviously, this way is sort of, it's sort of more about file storage. It's just folders and files, and obviously you can open and close and edit and all those sorts of things. But when you come to actually wanting to manage your files, create documents from templates, share, set files up for signing, all that sort of stuff, you actually need to come into the web browser to do all that. Righty-ho, that's sort of getting through the demo side of it, and I can see that we've only got about 10 minutes left, so I'll get through the next few slides, and there's a couple of questions as well, so I'll answer those shortly. So I wanted to talk to you very briefly about migration and what your migration options are. So first of all, when you want to migrate your files, you've got, I guess, two extreme options. One is you can migrate nothing. You can start from scratch with a blank SuiteFiles solution. You can start to create your own folders and populate it with your files as and when required. It might even mean that you upload files from your old system yourself into SuiteFiles, again, as and when required. So that's one option. The other option is to migrate absolutely everything. Now, some people do that as well. They come to us and they say, I've got a system, it's got all this information in it, all this content, can you please just migrate it all to SuiteFiles? And yes, that's another option as well. What can be migrated? Well, any file on a file server, essentially. There are some exceptions with some sort of developer type files or executable files that Microsoft don't really want you to upload into their Office 365 systems, but you can migrate anything on a file server really. We can copy the folder and the file structure on that server and copy that directly into SuiteFiles, so it's exactly the same. As I mentioned before, when you do that, the benefit is your team knows the exact structure already in play. What can we migrate from? Just about anything, really. We can migrate from file servers. We can migrate from other cloud storage solutions like Box and Dropbox. We can migrate from other document management solutions, things like your virtual cabinets or your DocuSofts. There are some systems are harder, but there hasn't been any system yet that we have come across that we haven't been able to work out how to migrate you in a plan from what you've currently got through until what you currently got through into SuiteFiles. Yep. What's the process, or how long does it take? So the process really depends on what you're migrating from and what we need to do to make that happen. So it also depends on the speed of your internet connection and the actual volume of data that we need to migrate. So our process involves us inspecting your files and current document management solution to find out what you've got in the current state, to work with you on a plan for migrating. So if you've got an existing file management system, it's quite possible that we need to run an extraction process to get the files out of that file management system so they can be prepared to load up into SuiteFiles. We generally run migrations over a weekend. We'd start on a Friday night and would target having you completed by Monday morning when you come to work. So that's the migration process. What next? Well, there is a free 30-day trial. If you go to our website, you will be able to sign up for a trial. You will need to give us access to your Office 365 account. So when you sign up for a trial, just expect there's a couple of emails that will come out to you with instructions about how to do this. It doesn't just, we can't just provision things automatically. We do need access to your Office 365 account to do this. And yeah, you can have it free for 30 days. Some people like to think of the trial as actually just your first 30 days free. So if you've really, if you've all of a sudden decided that you want to go ahead with SuiteFiles, again, request a trial and you'll get your first 30 days for free. We've got 3 different subscription plans. Our starter plan, which really is just our web app and some mobile, and our what we call our standard XPM integration. That standard XPM integration really is just the population of document and email templates. We go to the full suite plan. That gives you everything that you've seen today, except for the document signing. So that includes in here our advanced XPM integration. So that's all the things about when we create a new client in XPM, we create the client folder in SuiteFiles. And then you go to our Pro plan, which has got secure file sharing and also got the secure document signing. If you would like the trial, all you need to do is go to SuiteFiles.com and click the button to request a trial. Complete the form and we'll take care of the rest. Often get asked this question about implementation and support in the UK because I do have a business based in New Zealand. So Bridge 3, who you may have met some people from if you saw us at Accountex, they are our exclusive distributor and implementation partner there in the UK. That means that they are there to help answer questions in your time zone, whether they be support questions or sales questions, and they're there to help with the sales process as well. So yeah, you can talk to anyone from Bridge 3 about SuiteFiles. It's important to, I think it is important to understand, Bridge 3 are, that they actually come out of an accounting practice of 40 or 50 staff, so a reasonably good sort of mid-sized accounting business, and they use SuiteFiles and they use a Zero Practice Manager on a day-to-day basis, so they actually know and understand these applications and how they work and how best to set them up actually for an accounting practice. Okay, question time. There have been some questions come in, so let's just have a look at these. First of all, isn't it a risk that contacts for other clients appear when getting a document signed? That's probably more just the way I have set the system up. Possibly what you noticed there was when I was typing in a client name and the contact list showed it had different email addresses. I think that might be why you've come up with that question. This is just my demo site and it's filled with things that we've done for various demonstrations and different email addresses. So I wouldn't read all that as gospel. And I do think we need the option to be able to specifically choose which client you need to have signing that document. You might be in a client folder and already know, potentially know which client you're sending the document to, but for some reason, it might be that you need to also choose some contacts from another client as well to sign it. So yeah, I'm not sure that there's a big security risk, but you do need to be sure that you're putting the right contact details into XPM and setting it up that way. It's no different really to if you were setting up the details for the people having to sign the file manually without having to do it through XPM, which you can do, and making sure that you're getting those details right as well. Another question here, do you have conversation filing? So that would be when we're talking about saving our emails, and when we drag and drop, upload them, do we group conversations together? In the Outlook app, no, we don't. We do have a view for that in the web app, but what we've really done is made a decision that in the first instance that it's actually really hard to do that. If you use conversation views, even in Outlook, you'll find that you can get things muddled up, particularly for email trails that have the same subject line, but you're sending them different content out to different people for different, multiple people for different purposes, and you'd get all of those conversations coming back together because the subject line matches. So we haven't nailed how to do that yet. It's something that we're thinking about. Yeah, that's where we're at with that. When will the client portal be available? I don't even know if I talked about client portal, did I? Later this year. So we've got people working on it now. And I've had 3 or 4 people working on it full time for the past 6 weeks. It's a big project. It's going to change a number of things in the way we have to work with SuiteFiles behind the scenes. So it's going to take a bit of time, but we're targeting late this year to have that client portal live. If someone replies to an email, does it automatically file? No, it doesn't automatically file, but it does ask you automatically if you would like to file it, and then can provide you with some suggestions around where you wish to file that email. Okay, those are all the questions that I have now, and we've only got a minute or so left. But if you do have any other questions, please feel free to type them into the system. I'm more than happy to take them, and we can then answer those. Otherwise, don't forget that I have recorded this webinar. If you want to show it to anybody else, feel free to do so. We're more than happy for others to see this webinar, especially people who might be interested in using SuiteFiles. That could be someone else within your organization, or it could be someone from another business who you know who might get some benefit out of SuiteFiles. Right, no more questions have come in, and it is now 10 p.m. here in New Zealand, so probably time for me to call the webinar to an end. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. I guess you come to the webinar tonight because we saw you at Accountex, so thank you for coming to see us at the stand there, and also thank you very much for coming along, giving up an hour of your time to look at our webinar today. If you do have any questions, my contact details or email address is on the screen there right now. You can also go to our website, and as I said, if you want a trial, please just go to our website and request a trial from there. The process, as mentioned, will be that you'd get an email. We will also introduce you to our partner, Bridge 3, who will take you through that process of getting SuiteFiles set up and running for your business. All right, everyone, I hope that you have a great Tuesday and got something out of our webinar today, and we will hopefully be talking to you again very soon.